what skills you would develop from the preliminary task?
In the preliminary task, I was able to practice skills I have not actually used in media studies. So, for example, I was able to see how a camera's worked and how it's used for effect to show conventions and drama in our production. I was able to do a bit of producing, which involves timekeeping and making sure that everyone in the group is on target and doing what is needed. I was able to practice my storyboarding technique, seeing how that is done and how it can help us use our camera shots and stuff to show mystery, the conventions of murder mystery. We were able to practice in a team and making sure that everyone's doing equal amounts to get the job done. I was able to use the sound equipment to make the sound better quality and make sure that there's no muffly sounds or anything when people are talking. And I was just all around, I was able to make sure that we were planned and ready to do our main production effectively in the correct amount of time.
In what ways are the preliminary and the main task different, and how do you think the main task is better than the preliminary?
Our preliminary task is completely different to our main production. In the preliminary task, it was set out for us to do a set task for a deadline and just to practice things like camera work and sound and storyboarding. However, in the main production, we were able to come up with an idea ourselves, make sure that it works, makes sense, and that the audience understand it. We were able to add our own conventions into it, create our own camera shots to show representations between the protagonist and what is happening in the situation. Overall, I'd say that our main production, the second time round, was better than the preliminary task. However, the first edit of our main task was not as good as the preliminary task, as we did not use conventions and it was a bit confusing.
Why did you decide to refilm after receiving all your feedback?
Well, we received our feedback and it was a bit of a mixed bag of results, really. People were a bit confused at our narrative and what had happened to the protagonist in the war scene at the start. We didn't really portray it as a dream, really. People were just confused how he got from being shot in the heart to waking up in bed with his wife. People thought that he died numerous times. It was just a bit confusing. So we decided upon ourselves to refilm, create a new narrative, a new protagonist. And also, in the first edit, we left out the biggest convention of all, which was the detective. So in the second edit, we decided to make our protagonist the detective and make sure that the biggest convention of murder mystery is included in our production.
The name Unknown, how did you come up with that, and does it have any relevance to the film at all?
We came up with Unknown as our film name, as we decided at the start to produce a silent film with no talking. The reason we chose to have no talking in our production was really because in our preliminary task and the first edit, we were able to see that talking, it makes the film seem amateur and not very professional. So we decided, each of us decided that we would do a silent film to make it more professional. It was a bit risky because people could say that it wasn't finished, or we had planned to do that. We had originally planned to do that, to portray mystery in our film, to give a sense of unknowing, really. The audience are able to portray their own view on the film and what our protagonist is saying and doing. But really, it didn't really matter that we had no sound, because the audience were able to see the protagonist working out the murder scene and seeing that he was calm and collective in the situation he was put in.